Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Monday edition of the Computer America Show. Hope all of you had a wonderful 4th of July weekend. And we have a terrific show planned for you in the first hour.
1 minute until showtime.
Gene Steinberg is joining us, Apple aficionado. We're going to be talking about Apple Music, iOS 9. It's coming out. Of course, the new upgrade that just came out as well, iOS 8.4. And, of course, El Capitan. That's the next edition of the OS 10 operating system from Apple. And in the second hour, Trefecta is the name of the company. We're going to be joined by the company's CEO, Trefecta. It's they're calling it a whole
Trefecta, like T-R-E.
Trefecta. Okay.
Sure.
Trefecta Mobility. They're coming out with what they're calling a whole new category of vehicles. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show. He's going to be calling us in, by the way, we're speaking to him in Belgium. So I said, sit back, relax, enjoy the show as we begin 2 hours of Computer America.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and the Computer America Show is brought to you by Bell Ringers. It's newer than news when you're right there as it first debuts. Visit our sponsor's website at bellringersmedia.com. Hello, and welcome into a Monday edition of the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And we're going to get it right, It took the 4th of July weekend, and I relaxed. And again, but we'll get it down right. Of course, Bell Ringers is one of our brand new sponsors, and didn't mean to step on the opening. Yeah, I know.
Professional. That is the linchpin of what makes Computer America a head and shoulders from the rest.
Yes,
is professionalism.
We be professional. Yes, exactly.
We be the most professional.
Here on the show. Anyhow, hopefully, we're just recovering from the 4th of July. Hopefully, all of you had a wonderful 4th of July holiday. And
blew some stuff up, maybe had a drink or two, ate some barbecue animal, just, the
barbecue
traditional things.
I like the barbecue animal.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, we did have barbecue animal. So we have a terrific show planned for you. In the second hour, we're going to be joined by Trefecta, excuse me. Gesundheit. Trefecta. Yes, they are a company that have designed what they're calling a new category of vehicle. And we're going to have the company's CEO, or chairman of the board, actually, is going to be joining us here, Mr. Heiko Visser. It's going to be, and he's going to be calling in from Belgium. So it's going to be very early in the morning for him, but we're thankful that he's going to take the time to call in and tell us all about the Trefecta. So now, let me just say that if you have a comment or question for any of our guests, please give us a call at 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. I'll get you on and get you through. We also have our chat room. Just from our homepage at ComputerAmerica.com, you'll see it says Show Lounge / chat. Just click that, or you can hover over it, and you can get the entire chat room, the full chat room screen, either way you want to do it. But if you click that pull-down menu, the Show Lounge / chat, two things will happen. Of course, you'll get the smaller version of our chat room, which it'll say want to chat. Just put in a username. That's the name you'll be known by when you're in there. And you're in the chat room. A lot of people are happy to talk to you. We'd love to see you in there. And the second thing that happens is our live video streaming will initiate automatically, because not only are we a radio talk show, we also stream the live video of our program. So you get to see myself, you get to see Ben, sometimes you get to see the guest. Ben has the technology. Then in the background, you can see websites You can see all that, and it's just adds to the Computer America experience. So we invite you to join us there and on the Computer America website. Anything else you want to mention before I trip and stumble over anything else?
No. I think you've messed up enough, and probably better just to get the show started with our first hour guest.
Okay. All right. Well, as I mentioned, Gene Steinberg, he's an award-winning journalist who has written over 30 books on computers and the internet, plus hundreds of articles for many industry publications. Gene hosts his own internet radio talk show, the Tech Night Owl Live, and the Paracast. Woo, yes, which deals with the paranormal, UFOs, and the supernatural. But he's here as an Apple expert tonight. He is also a Computer America correspondent who appears on our show from time to time. Gene, welcome into Computer America. How are you, sir?
No theme song anymore?
Oh, yes. We could have done.
Forget. Don't worry about it.
No. Okay. There it is. There's your theme song. I thought you were getting tired of it.
He probably was.
I thought you were playing the other one from the day the Earth stood still.
Oh yeah.
You do that. Yeah. Exactly.
See, that seems more appropriate for Gene Steinberg.
Oh.
In my head.
Okay. Well, Gene, welcome into the Computer America show.
Barada, Nico.
Bless you.
Exactly. So, welcome. Yeah, exactly. So, you're here. Obviously, there's been so much going on in Apple recently, and I thought we need to have you back. I mean, they just came out with the new iOS 8.4. They just unveiled that. Apple's music service. They've got El Capitan on the horizon. Lots of things to talk about. So, and we only have an hour. So, what would you like to talk about, or where would you like to start?
What would you like to start? How about Apple Music?
Okay. So, what's going on with Apple Music?
Apple Music. Well, it's arrived. It arrived on the 30th of June. With the iOS 8.4 update, which had some bug fixes, but predominantly it is the Apple Music thing, which is the successor to Beats Music, which is what Apple bought for $3 billion plus Beats headphones last year.
Yeah, and they're giving it up. And they're giving it up now for Apple Music.
Rebranding.
Well, music becomes Apple Music.
Okay,
I guess because Beats Music only has maybe a few 100,000 members, and Apple wants to sell, 400 million members. So obviously this is where it's come from, but it derives from Beats Music.
All right.
When you set it up for a second, if you've ever tried Beats Music, the setup screen is very similar.
All right. So it's Apple Music is now here. And by the way, if you watch, if you're watching Ben on our live video stream, you can see all the different things that has to do with Apple Music in the background.
Yeah, in traditional Apple fashion, they put out a lot of nice publicity, and Beats, their cornerstone has always been the celebrity tie-ins and the just the perceived style of what it is. So I mean, obviously they're still going to keep the Beats headphone, right? Like the Beats name is going to live on, just not in Beats Music.
It'll live on with the headsets.
Okay.
Why pay $1 billion for a company that you would think the name is so important, and they just can that, and they just
they only canned it for the music service. They didn't can it for the headphones.
Okay.
So you still have Beats headphones,
right.
and they're one of the top selling headphones in the world. So they're keeping that. But as far as Beats Music, it doesn't matter anymore because they've taken that technology, that guidance, that particular method of doing things and incorporated it into Apple Music. So you have the same thing. You have some level of human curation. In other words, unlike some of the other music services, you don't have a situation here where all the music is selected by some kind of computer algorithm. Some of it is. But it also seems to be better able, based on my limited experience, because it's only been out, about a week or so, that it's better able to figure out what kind of music I like.
Okay. You like that?
which is very important because
Yeah.
my musical tastes are very eclectic,
Okay.
strange, weird, paranormal.
And it's going to figure this out.
It's starting to. It started up throwing stuff there that I have no interest in, like Barry Manilow and Paul Potts and Tom Jones. But there's an option to say I don't want that suggestion in iOS 8.4. So having done that and having refreshed it, it now brings up things that I do like.
Well, why did it even
or
think?
more things that I do like.
Why did it think that you like Tom Jones and Barry Manilow? I mean, that's kind of the.
Probably because my wife once had me buy a Paul Potts recording. So it's looking at several things there. When you set it up like Beats Music, you have these little circles, and you tap or click the circles that apply to the music you like, the type of music and the artists. But it also looks at your existing music library, for better or worse.
Okay.
So that makes you prepared for a friend. Suddenly
it.
that becomes part of what it uses.
All right. Okay. So continue on.
Starting from the beginning, is there a pay per month subscription? Like, what is the payment model for this whole thing?
Okay. There is no free service like Spotify, for example, offers. Apple does still offer free iTunes Radio, although it's been improved. They also offer a 24/7 music channel, of which is about half live now, called Beats One, which is like a radio station. It has disc jockeys, it has interviews, it has music. They take your requests by email or from the telephone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like having a live pop music radio station. I would say kind of like in the spirit of Top 40, but it's heard in 100 countries. So that's interesting. It's kind of like throwback to imagine in the 1960s, we had Top 40 radio, and it could be heard in 100 countries simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's like, and that's interesting. All right, so that's interesting. As far as the payment model, the paid service, they give you a free 90-day trial. It takes, since most people who are obviously using it have iTunes accounts, it takes maybe 20 seconds to set it up. You decide whether you want a single user, which is $9.99 a month, or you use up to 6 people involved in your family sharing setup with iTunes, which is $14.99. And actually, it's a pretty good deal. And you choose from over 30 million tracks. Normally, when it's set up, you have an auto-renew option. After 90 days, they will take your money. But you can also turn off auto-renew, and after 90 days, you'll have to wait for them to ask you if you want to subscribe. Up to you. Once you do that, and it can be set up in the new music app for iOS 8.4 or for iTunes 12.2 for Mac and Windows. Once you set it up, then you have some additional options, such as For You, which is supposedly tailored to your needs, a list of new music. There's also Connect, which is a semi-social networking scheme where the artists supposedly are able to communicate with their fans. Now, of course, Apple's had problems in the past with social networking. They once had something called Ping, which I'm sure Craig can tell
I remember
you
that.
about.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Right. So on the surface here, there's nothing that doesn't integrate with your normal Apple service. You have these extra options with Apple Music, but the way they look, the way they're set up, is just the way things are set up in iTunes. So it's nothing strange, nothing unusual. You can probably get used to it. But like with any service like this, you have to train it to work with the music you like. As I said, I've been busy, as we were talking, dumping the artists I don't like and indicating which ones I want. So, for example, in iOS 8.4, you can press and hold and explain whether you like that particular artist or not by checking one of a whole bunch of options. So Elvis Presley gospel I have no need for. Let's see if I can get it to Oh, it's not tapping and holding now. Okay, that's nice to know.
Yeah.
It will not tap.
So it's very similar to what Pandora does, in
Wow.
that you
Tap and hold, and you're supposed to, in theory, get the more options. Like here it is, like a context menu to play next, add up next, start station. That means create a radio station from that selection. Add to my music, make available offline, which is important here, and I'll explain that in a moment. Show an iTunes store, share album, add to a playlist, or I don't like this suggestion, which is the most important one, because what you do is the stuff you don't like helps train it to the stuff that you like
Tom Jones. Let me.
Oh yes, I got that one I got rid of pretty quickly. The only Tom Jones song I liked was the theme song for Thunderball.
Ah, yes,
the James Bond.
He was very good at that. Let me ask you this, and I want to get more into the services, but I'm curious on your overall opinion with this. I mean, we've seen iTunes become iTunes, one of the biggest retailers of digital music. We don't really have
the biggest.
Yeah, we don't have our collections of CDs, and then we don't have our 45s and 33 and thirds. I mean, you saw the transition to digital music, and
I have piles of cassette tapes. I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Kidding.
And now so we thought that was it, but now of course Apple is moving now to Apple Music, which is streaming music, which means you don't actually own the song. It's not on you, but you can stream any song. So Ben doesn't have to carry around
boxes
of
boxes.
No, in his iPhone, he has hundreds of songs that he so he can now stream any particular song that he wants. Is this? Do you think in 5 years or even less that Apple's going to say we're going to announce the end of iTunes and it's all going to be Apple Music because that's archaic and people don't want to own that anymore? Are we going to see yet another shift with this, or is it just going to be?
No.
Is this going to augment and just be part of iTunes?
It should be an option.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because of one particular factor, which is very important,
Mm-hmm.
and that is a lot of people still like to own music. In fact, there's a vinyl resurgence now, where sales of vinyl, LP records, is probably up twice what it was last year. I mean, as a percentage, it's low. But that means people still want to own music. But what Apple is doing is offering an alternative here, because digital music sales are down somewhat. Not by a huge margin, but they're down. So now Apple sees success in Spotify particularly. That's the number one competitor. And therefore Apple wants to be in that space with their own offering.
Is
of
Apple?
course, Apple has...
Do you think Apple's going to bulldoze over Spotify because of the behemoth that they are?
Sorry about that. My dog just he's commenting on the situation. He's commenting on the situation.
It's a riot. It's a riot.
He's now going to quiet him down. Unfortunately, there's no way to quiet him down. As you see, he's got a very high pitch. He's got a tenor voice.
Yeah.
For a dog,
yeah.
And she's now going to be using something called Stop That, where you spray him and he will quiet down. There you go. Right.
Okay.
Just don't make that too loud. He'll hear it and he'll start barking in response to it.
Okay. So.
Anyway,
yeah.
Where are we? I have no
Apple,
idea. Is
Spotify.
It a radio show or what?
Yes, exactly. Spotify. Do you think they're going to kind of roll? Because basically, iTunes became the 800-pound gorilla of all of the downloadable music services. Do you think that Apple?
See, but like to me, Spotify, Pandora, all these different services,
right?
They're not pushovers anymore. Like they're well established.
Yeah, but but
think about this way. Think about this way with Spotify. I looked up financials. It's a private corporation. They're out of, I think, Sweden or something, and they had a multi-billion-dollar gross, but their losses increased to like $187 million last year. The company is still not profitable. It's still going through venture capital. And therefore, it has not proven yet that it can sustain itself as a company that is profitable. I mean, there's a point there where if Apple overwhelms them, they don't have $200 billion on hand to sustain them. Apple can sustain Apple Music forever. But Spotify does nothing but Spotify, digital music downloads, or subscription. I mean, you can download music for offline listening as you can with Apple Music, as long as you're renting your music. And they have 20 million paying subscribers. But it hasn't been proven yet that this company can turn this to a profitable enterprise. And maybe it will. But Apple suddenly has jumped in here, and they've taken the air out of a Spotify or a Pandora or anything that involves streaming music, because they.
Oh.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
No problem.
Oh, he's.
Okay.
Okay, you can continue.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, but I mean, we've seen a lot of companies out there that have started with completely venture capital and gone on. I mean, Twitter wasn't profitable, and heck, they still might not be at this point. 5 or 6 years after their launch, like it's not uncommon for this. Although that does kind of bring up a point where maybe streaming music all together.
Gene, is there any way to stop? It's making it very difficult to have the interview. Is there any way you can have the dog out?
I think he's quieted down now.
All right.
Something next door is setting him off. It's setting him off. My wife is quieted him down now.
Perfect.
But, something has set him off, and it happens. It's a lot of fun doing 2 radio shows a week with him on the loose here. But we keep it quiet most of the time. He's quieted down now.
Okay.
So it's just.
But I just kind of want to.
Mike, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I just kind of want to finish up my thought there that, these companies they run off the first couple of years off venture capital and they may not turn a profit for half a decade, and that's okay in the tech world, but who knows? If someone well established like Pandora or Spotify can't seem to turn streaming music into a profit, then maybe the whole idea behind it, where people obviously want it, but there isn't a viable way to make money off it. I mean, it just may not be in the cards that this kind of model is sustainable. And like, at which point it's a waiting game, and then Apple can outweigh anyone.
Well, there is one tech pundit I read, and I don't recall the name, and he's suggesting that Apple is designing Apple Music to fail ultimately. And this is real conspiracy theory, that Apple overwhelms all the other competitors, so they disappear. And then Apple has the option to continue or not. And I find that nonsense. I think it's just as well as someone wants to buy an iPhone 6 or an iPhone 6 Plus or a MacBook or a MacBook Pro 13-inch, 15-inch. Apple offers options. And if customers continue to buy that option or subscribe to that option, they continue to offer it. It's as simple as that, simple dollars and cents. If Apple makes a go of this, then the service will continue. I think a lot of people still want to buy music, but I think younger people or people who don't have investments in music libraries might consider this, but then again, you have to consider the downside. And as I mentioned before, yes, you can download a song offline for offline listening. You can download that file, but it carries digital rights management. And as soon as you stop paying within whatever grace period they set, you stop paying after the free trial period is up, or you subscribe, and you eventually stop paying, that music is unlistenable.
Yeah, exactly. So you never really own the music with Apple Music, whereas iTunes,
You're renting it.
You're renting it, right? Yeah. And it makes a lot of sense. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the collection mentality of all this stuff is just doesn't make sense, and it makes sense to people who are collectors, but those, as you said, the younger generation who might not see the value of that or might not want it.
Well, it's not even the younger generation. I think everyone is starting to see the value of having things stored in the cloud, having cloud services, all that kind of thing. And music, it meshes so well that it of course goes against the grain from a traditional standpoint being, hey, I used to own all my music and I used to have it in one place. That's changed where, nowadays it's like, oh, I can just have it in the cloud.
Yeah.
Right, but you can do that with the music you own. I mean, you can share the music you own on different computers. You can take it with you in your iPhone. You could carry it on an iPod. They still sell iPods, or your iPad. There are multiple ways. If you have a lot of devices, in fact, Apple Music is going to be available for Android this fall, would you believe? But the key here is that whether you own the music or rent the music, you can carry it on multiple devices and listen the way you want. The difference being that with renting music, the second you stop paying, for whatever reason, or whatever grace period they provide, when you stop paying, that music library is gone. If that's what you like, that's fine.
Yeah, it's a rental.
If you don't want to own your music, that's fine.
It's like any rental mentality. I mean, you don't pay the rent on your house or your apartment, you get evicted. It's
a bit different than that, but okay.
The E word.
Yeah, exactly. But the point is, what you're saying is that you think there's room for both, where you own it or you stream it, and you think it's always going to be that way, because we're only going to see the improvement of the internet everywhere. We're going to see as the internet continues to, when we're eventually going to have internet everywhere, and the whole.
I hear at the moment the creepy people over at Elon Musk and whatnot are inventing worldwide satellite internet, so it's going to be available.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't predict one way or the other. I think the current generation, as it passes, maybe younger people will decide they'd rather just rent music. They don't have the investment. But then young people are buying vinyl. So how do you judge that?
Yeah, we did a news story on that last week. That vinyl sales were up. I remember that we did a story on that.
Right. Sure.
Which made me scratch my head.
I don't think you predict that.
Which made me scratch my head on that, because I thought, basically the next generation wasn't into the collecting, but evidently they are, and so if that's the case, and that seems to be the go of it, then perhaps maybe both iTunes and Apple Music will be here to stay.
I feel like, though, that we should point out the numbers. Like there are millions upon millions upon billions of people listening to streaming music, and then I think record sales went from 270,000 up to 350,000. Like the numbers aren't really equatable.
They're not significant.
No.
Okay.
They went up, which is surprising, but.
Well,
what are you talking about, vinyl?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Vinyl is like several million people. Several million records are sold. But, a specific artist with a hit vinyl maybe sells, 50,000 or something, and that's a lot. The key here is that sometimes it might be a fad. There is something about vinyl that people seem to find romantic. You'll see, for example, in a lot of TV shows, when they play music, somebody's got a turntable and they put a record on. Have you noticed how many TV shows do that? Oh, sorry about that.
Gene, what is going on?
Yeah.
Barking dogs and
Beatles.
I didn't even expect that thing to ring, so that surprised me tremendously. I didn't expect that thing to ring at all.
So let's get back to it. So you.
One feature that you and I know we're like 2 or 3 minutes from the break, but one feature that I think you wanted to touch on was this whole save for offline listening, which might play into just what we're talking about.
Come again?
Save for offline listening. That's a feature of the Apple Music.
That's right. Exactly. You don't have to be online to listen to Apple Music or any of these streaming services. They have. When you're renting the music, you can download it and listen to it. The key here is that it's protected by digital rights management. So at some point, if it does an online check to check the status of your account, if your account is disabled for whatever reason or expired, that music will no longer play. But yeah, you can certainly download it and fill up your iPhone or something with music. You don't have to stream. Remember, when you're streaming out on the road, you're using up your cellular network's bandwidth.
How about this? Do you think maybe in the future we'll see a merging of these two technologies? iTunes or Apple Music will become one, because then one will you can stream, you can pay for the service, you can download, keep it, own it. Wouldn't it? Do you think maybe these two technologies will just merge into one application?
Well, right now the music app on your iOS device can be used to link to buy a recording. You have the option to buy it if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
If you decide you want to own something, you still have that option. In iTunes on your Mac or PC, it is the same app. Mm-hmm. It's just got that extra. You have a few extra options. That's all.
Okay. All right. Listen. All right.
Apple Music.
All right. Listen, we're at the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a little break, and then we'll continue on. Gene Steinberg is joining us, our Computer America correspondent. We're talking about Apple Music with him. We'll talk about the iOS and the new OS 10 operating system with him as well. A news tips bulletin review from Marty Winston's coming up, too.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-866-663-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? That's so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they are available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
I'm waiting. Everybody quiet down now. That's better. It's Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time the Kidda Remote Link. This message is from your house. I'm on fire. That is, in a nutshell, the concept behind the new Kidda Remote Link. A roughly cubicle, fit under 2.5 inches in each direction, plug-in that listens for smoke or CO alarms, and when it hears them, sends notifications. The setup happens through its app on a handset that's on the same Wi-Fi, but not 5 gigahertz, the same Wi-Fi net as the monitor. The app collects a login, a password, and location contact info for you, the space you're monitoring, and anybody else you want to notify in case of trouble. Before setup is done, you push the test button on your most distant smoke or CO alarm to confirm that it can be detected. Bottom line, while it is not intended to replace an alarm system to notify first responders, a Kidda Remote Link is one way when you're away to let neighbors and others know that your place needs attention. It's Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. 33 minutes past the hour. We just have to be really slow, really cautious, make sure that we're not stepping on any new spots here on the show. But welcome back to the Computer America Show. Gene Steinberg is finishing out the hour with us, and we're talking about all the recent changes over at Apple, because Windows has been getting a lot of the press lately, but that doesn't mean Apple's been sitting on their hands. They have released this new Apple Music, which I personally I think is sorely needed, because I've just had my iPhone and I've tried using Apple Radio, and I would hazard to say that is one of the worst radio experiences I've had, is using Apple Radio. It cuts short songs, skips stations, loaded with ads. It was just not a very good experience. So I'm glad that they've come out with a new service that, yes, even though there's a price point attached, doesn't mean that at least there's some quality to it, because we've been hearing a lot of good things. And so we're continuing on with Apple Music, and we've talked about the price point, talked about some of the key features. You can listen to all this music offline with DRM and limitations, of course. But these expert music recommendations. Now, you said that because if you ever use Pandora, that's all an algorithm. That's no one steps between you and the suggested music. That's all algorithm. So when you say there's an expert music recommendation, is this crowdsourced from everyone else, or is this the contributing artist has also chosen that they like this other artist that you should check out? Like how is the music recommendation different?
Well, music recommendation comes from a lot of different sources. They even have magazines like Rolling Stone with musical recommendations. So it has a lot of that kind of thing. Obviously, not all the elements of the human involvement are going to be made public, because therefore everybody else will duplicate them. But there is certainly a sense of human involvement. But obviously you have to have algorithms. You have to have a way to learn what you want, and you can't do that with somebody standing there. You don't have an account manager who's looking over your music and saying, "Hey, Gene, hey there, we're going to have this particular album from the Kinks that we see that you're going to like because you decide you don't want to hear Tom Jones," or something like that. That's not going to happen. Oh, you like Joni Mitchell? Let's just give you some Joni Mitchell tracks. Let's give you Ladies of the Canyon or something like that. That's not going to happen, but you have more options and more personalization in the way it's set up. And that's something that's going to be very difficult for others to duplicate, because Apple just has the money to do it. Apple has the money to make exclusive deals with artists. Obviously, they had this little brouhaha with Taylor Swift a couple of weeks back, where supposedly Apple was not going to pay royalties during the free trial period, and she wrote a Tumblr blog, said, "That's no good." And she's going to withhold her 1989 album, which is actually not a new album, but who cares? And finally, they decided to, that day when this came out, that evening, Apple had caved already. I think it's a put-up job, but that's, whatever you believe. The point being here is that Apple has the power to say, okay, we'll pay royalties during the free period, and we're going to make special deals with artists, and we're going to do things that nobody else can do. And that's the reason they took over Beats Music. They bought that company because you have Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre, two very powerful figures in the music industry, now Apple employees, now working with Eddie Q to make deals with the music labels, but also individual artists. And no other company has that.
So all right. So basically, Apple Music is available now. Again, it's a $9.95 a month subscription for one use. You can get
for 6 use, $15.
$15 for 6 users as well. You do have some iTunes capability. You can buy the music, although it is primarily a streaming service. I still think that eventually, at least to me, it would seem that these two services will merge into one. Why have two? I mean, why not just have one? All iTunes and or call it Apple Music or whatever you want to. Okay. All right. Gene, I'll tell you what. I'm sorry, but we can't have the dog barking on the show. is if you can't, I'm sorry, but we're I don't know what else to do.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay, I'm gonna hold on. Ben and I are talking to Gene Steinberg. He is an Apple aficionado, Apple expert, and we're trying to talk to him about Apple Music, but we seem to have some little bit of a I can't even call it a technical glitch. I'm not sure what's okay. Gene, you're back. So
I'm back.
okay.
Normally he doesn't engage in that. Something must be disturbing him, because normally he doesn't make that kind of noise.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyhow, all right. Gene, I'm sorry. If he can't, we're gonna. Is he out of the room?
I'm in another room now.
Okay.
So hopefully he'll be quiet.
All right.
Sort of. Something is disturbing him somewhere else.
All right. Well, all right. We can't.
Leftover fireworks. I'll do it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'll tell you what, Gene. We're gonna. If we can't get the dog under control, we're gonna have to say goodnight, and we'll just have to, and do this another time. Is there? I want to talk to you a little bit about. I want to talk to you a little bit about El Capitan, but
we can definitely do another night, because that is the upcoming operating system. So
my wife has him quieted down now, so
Okay.
let's see if he stays that way.
all right. If he starts barking again, we're going to have to say goodnight. Tell us a little bit about El Capitan. El Capitan.
Well, El Capitan is a refinement to OS 10 Yosemite. It becomes 10.11, and the main purpose here is to refine what was there and offer a handful, well, not a handful, but a small number of features that help improve upon the user experience. So you've got things like a split screen view on your full screen view, which is similar to, of course, what you have in Windows already, but, c'est la vie. That's one of the features that's being offered. They also offer a new system font that's easier to read.
Mm-hmm.
They also offer the promise of better performance,
All right.
which is rare in an operating system. It's rare to see that in an operating system where you have better performance, where you have as I say, the promise of performance of, well, in this case, up to 8 times the performance. So, for example, Adobe After Effects, if you take advantage of one of the new features of El Capitan called Metal, which is a graphics chip enhancement like you have on your new iPhones,
Mm-hmm.
if you have that, you can get up to 8 times the rendering speeds.
Wow, that's nice.
So we're talking, so we're talking here about a lot of really interesting things. Apple's boast is up to 1.4 times faster app launch, up to 2 times faster app switching, up to 2 times faster display of first mail messages. Now, the only consideration is the Metal is only recent Macs. The older Macs won't support it. But in every other case, the other features are certainly supported. You have a more powerful spotlight for search,
Mm-hmm.
which is able to use plain language requests. So, for example, you say, I want the article I wrote on UFOs on January 3rd, 2000.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Is that nice?
Yeah, it is nice. That's a nice feature.
So that, of course, it will go and do it. So that's one of the things that makes things more interesting. Also, the Notes app has become more full-featured. So Notes allows you to collect media. There's an attachment browser, more formatting options. So it becomes more like some of those third-party note-taking or making options. Photo becomes more powerful. Photos being the new replacement for iPhoto. This time you're able to get third-party editing extensions, so a company can come out with more editing tools and they could make it available. That's another thing that's offered. Safari is also getting some enhancements, one of which is pinned sites, make it easier to find a site that you want to visit. And then there's another feature there where you can cut off the unwanted autoplay videos that you see on a lot of sites like USA Today. where you go to the site and suddenly the music starts playing,
I
the video
hate that.
starts playing. You could. You saying?
Yeah, I hate that when that happens. Yeah.
And they're hard baking that into the operating system or the Safari browser?
This Safari.
Okay.
Okay.
Safari browser, you're going to have that. That's the version that will be with El Capitan, which is Safari 9. Also, both iOS 9 and El Capitan will have an improved of maps, which will include the first iteration of public transit info. Should be good.
Okay.
Nice. Also, it's going to have a new system font called San Francisco, which is derived from the same font that's used on the Apple Watch. The advantage is it looks better, a little bit better in smaller sizes, a little more reader on the screen. And this is even more true on the iPhone because it will also be on iOS 9. So the point being here is that it'll improve window management. Some of the apps will be improved with new features. There's a promise, at least on Macs that were made since 2012, that it will be faster. But the important thing about El Capitan is that otherwise it works on the same Macs as the previous 2 or 3 operating systems. So it will work on Macs going back to 2007, 2008, 2009. We'll be able to upgrade to El Capitan.
Now those are the Macs that we have, I think.
Comes out.
Right. That's the Mac that you have, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a Core i7.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So, right.
So that's
it will work on the same. It'll still work on your late 2009 iMac. It'll still work on my 2010 17-inch MacBook Pro. It'll still work. The only thing is the metal feature with all those extra speed ups won't work because it requires a special kind of graphics card that Apple only introduced, say, around 2012. More enhanced features, but that's all right. I mean, everything else will work pretty good, so it's nothing to worry about. You don't throw out your Mac for something like that.
No, but it's getting.
So that's El Capitan.
It's getting closer to the point where I guess it's getting time to upgrade. I think maybe in the next year or so we're going to have to upgrade. Apple's going to do something where we're going to have to say, all right, well, we need those new features, and my Mac won't do that anymore, and it's time to upgrade the system.
Well, of course, metal is the one example right there. I mean, you want the enhanced performance with app launches and rendering in After Effects and other apps that will run a lot faster with metal. You have to get a Mac that was made no earlier than 2012. Now, Apple hasn't made a big deal of that, but the developers don't say that. So that's a feature that can't be used on an older Mac for the simple reason that it doesn't have the hardware.
Right. What was it?
That's something like that. Something like that might be an influence.
Yeah. What was the other thing about there was the alternative to sleep too? There's what is it that you can't do on the older Macs? That started with the later.
I know what you mean. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's where it's kind of. Yeah, it's work in the idle mode. It's downloading stuff and doing all sorts of low-level operations, and that's only recent Macs too. I mean, Apple is not going to stop innovating and adding new features. The point is that if you can still upgrade to the newest operating system with an older Mac, it remains productive. It gets the latest apps. But when there are specific performance features and improvements that require new hardware, well, you make that decision. At some point in time, you're going to want to buy the newer Mac and take advantage of it. But this way, you don't have to throw out the Macs. If you're in an office with a lot of Macs, you're not going to necessarily want to buy a whole new batch next year.
No, and the other good thing about it is that when they do, obviously you can take advantage of all the newer features. There are places that buy the older Macs, especially if you have a Mac that is like top of the line at the time of you purchasing, you have a better chance of selling that Mac for Tosh.
Right. Sure.
And and then of course when you buy the new one, you want to try to buy the top of the line as well. The fastest one with the most memory, that type of thing, because you're staving off obsolescence, and you get a better trade-in value for it when you do. So it's a good investment. And as I always say with everybody, when you buy a Mac, buy the Apple Care. I always say get it. It gives you 3 more years extension for that to the 1 year. That's worth every penny of that. and it's not that much more. So
Right. So, for example, today, if you want to buy a brand new Mac, say you want a new iMac to replace the one you have, you buy a Retina 5K iMac with the top of the line stuff, the 4 gigahertz Core i7, 32 gigabytes of RAM, the 3 terabyte Fusion drive, all the extra enhancements.
yeah,
And 5 years from now, you have a computer that's still working pretty good.
yeah, exactly. Well, okay, so we talked about, we got the new iOS and we talked about the 8.4. What about iOS 9? What are we going to expect to see in iOS 9? What do you project?
Okay, well, iOS 9. Okay, well, we'll tell you that I'm a member of Apple's developer program, and there are things I can't tell you specifically that haven't been published, but I can certainly tell you that I've used both El Capitan and iOS 9, and I can tell you whatever Apple has already told you.
Sure.
Which is, of course, that iOS 9 is going to offer features, to give you better battery life. And one actually, unfortunately, comes from the Android world, which is kind of like a low battery kind of thing where it runs in a reduced power mode. And that's something to add battery life. But maybe if you're on the road or something, and it's really critical that you keep going. And you keep your phone. You need to make phone calls, or you need to check your email. Well, you're going to definitely want to take advantage of that. It also has, if you're using an iPad Air 2, you get enhanced multitasking. You have a split view.
Okay, that's nice.
Which means you can watch 2 apps side by side. Now, Samsung's done that already, but Samsung doesn't quite do it as well as Apple. But you have this split view. You also have picture-in-picture. And that's going to open up a lot of new possibilities for the iPad, especially the Air 2 and subsequent models, for productivity. Because right now, obviously, you can just use one app, one document at a time. So that's going to help you quite a bit. That's going to be important. There's also going to be a new app called News, which replaces Newsstand, which would be a better compendium of news sources. And as a matter of fact, they allow publishers to set up their stuff in the Apple News format. I've already put the contents, tried to get the contents of the tech9owl.com on there. Let's see what happens if Apple accepts it. There's also a major update to Notes comparable to what's done with El Capitan. That's pretty good. Maps, as I mentioned, is improved with the public transit. The Passport app becomes Wallet.
Yeah,
integrated with Apple Play.
I've never used the Passport app very much. I just never saw maybe it was just the way I never saw the real value in that. Maybe with Wallet.
My son uses it. When he traveled here from Spain, he used it.
Yeah.
For his airplane boarding pass.
Well, okay.
So that's it.
All right.
And the other thing here, they also promise you, even before you use that low battery feature, they will give you an hour of additional time before recharging on the supported devices. The updates will be smaller in size, so the iPhones or iPads with lower storage capacity, the 16 gigabyte versions, won't have the problems that they had with iOS 8 in downloading and installing the updates. So that's very important. That means you'll be able to do it. They say in every way metal is enhanced. There's also something called 6-digit passcodes for security. So you have, instead of 4 digits, you got 6, which makes it more difficult for somebody to figure out what your passcode is.
Yeah, I'm still using Touch ID. I really do enjoy that. It's
sure. That'll work more efficiently too.
Well, I've noticed that Touch ID. I've noticed that Touch ID has worked so much better in the last few iterations of the iOS. When it first came out, it was terrible. It was horrible. Every third time you would do it, it would not work.
It's like it didn't even know you.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't know you, and then all of a sudden, I think after like 5 iterations of the iOS system, then it finally came out and it all worked out. And I have yet to use Touch ID where it doesn't work. I mean, it works every single time. Every time.
Sure.
So to me, that was obviously something that was, I guess when they put it out, it was just a little too rough, and that just needed a few more iterations. But now they've got a good handle on it. So that's it. Any speculation about the next generation of the iPhones? As they're calling them the 6S and the 6S Plus.
Well, right now they're saying there's going to be an enhanced aluminum they're going to use to make it more resistant to bending. That's one thing you're going to see. One brand of speculation talks about 12 megapixel cameras. You know, currently have 8 megapixels.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing. Obviously, it's going to have a more powerful processor. They're saying it'll be called the A9. We have the A8 now and the A8X for the iPad Air 2. The onboard system memory of the next iPhone will probably be 2 gigabytes, which doesn't sound like a lot, but you know, what we're talking about here is the fact that Apple is going to just make everything more powerful and better.
Yeah.
Supposedly, we'll have Force Touch. You know, the features on the new
Oh, okay. That's going to be in the
MacBook Pro, the MacBook Pro with Retina display, and of course, it's on the Apple Watch where you press harder, you touch harder, and you get like a context menu or extra features or volume increases or whatever developers want to add to it. It's only natural. Apple, that one there is a lock because Apple's already added to MacBooks. They've added it to obviously Apple Watch, which is very important, and so the next iPhones will have it.
Right.
It's a given.
Yeah, I thought
nobody else seems to have anything that works like that.
I thought we're going to see that in the iPhone 7. So you think the 6X, they're going to bring that to the 6S then?
Well, that's what they're saying, the prediction, because Apple has already got the technology down pat. It doesn't look like they actually need to wait another year. They've got working on the Apple Watch. They got working on several MacBook models. And it doesn't seem like it's a big stretch not to have it there too. And the key here is that if they do, it's just going to make it all the more powerful for people to upgrade.
Okay,
so it's going to be a fairly compelling. It's going to be a fairly compelling upgrade because right now, you know, remember sales are still through the roof even at this point, according to published reports. Apple's still selling a ton of these.
And when is the 6S supposed to come out?
It'd be late September, probably.
Okay. Now, see, I still have the 5S. I'm very, very happy with it, and I stayed away from the 6. But I think maybe with the 6S, we may do some upgrades on that. Gene, we're just pretty much out of time. Tell us what's happening in your world. What's happening with the Paracast and the Mac Night Owl?
Well, of course, on the Paracast this past weekend, we featured a guy named Ray Hernandez, who's associated with an organization called FREE, the Foundation of Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters. And the key here is that one of the co-founders is the astronaut Dr. Edgar Mitchell, one of the people who walked the moon. So that's pretty interesting. On Tech Night Owl, we've been doing lots and lots of coverage on Apple Music, as we did here. You know, went through it quite detail, covered it also on the radio show, the Tech Night Owl Live. So we've had a lot of fun with it. And you can find both if you go to technightowl.com or the links that Craig puts up for our shows.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry about the dog.
Okay. All right. Well,
we made it.
Yeah, we made it. Hey, Gene, listen, thanks so much for being with us here tonight again. Gene said the Paracast website and the Tech Night Owl Live is the links. We have them up at computeramerica.com. And Gene, thanks so much for being here with us tonight.
All right, thank you.
All right, take care. Good evening. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night. All right, there you go. All right, Gene Steinberg. Again, sorry about the dog, but, you know, I guess these things do happen. Coming up in the next...
I don't know about you, Craig, but my dogs were going insane on the 4th of July. They do not like fireworks, and you know, there could be a remnant firework out there.
It could.
Because people like fireworks, and I don't know where they keep pulling them out from, but like we had neighbors here that were just bringing out tons of fireworks.
Yeah, they were. It was. I mean, our dogs are afraid of thunder too and lightning, and so this was just, you know, just really unnerving.
Loads of fun.
All right, coming up in the next hour, we're going to be talking to Trefecta. This is a company that basically is looking to change the game when it comes to transportation. We have the company's CEO, Heiko Visser, going to be joining us in the second hour of the show, the Computer America show. We have another news tips bulletin review from Marty Winston. That's coming up in the second hour as well. You're listening to the Computer America show. Ben and I are going to be back in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us.
This is about a cool new way to be the first to hear about new, completely unannounced products or services. The Monday through Friday Newer Than News nationwide Bell Ringers Radio Hour starts August 31st. 4 times on each show, a team of 3 pros, well, 2 pros and me, take the time to tell you all about some new something. That happens over so many stations that more than 50 million people will be able to tune it in. And that same day, releases about that debut go out on 3 major news wires to reach traditional, online, and social media, plus full coverage on Slash Gear and some other goodies. Here's what we'd like to ask of you now. At the company you work for or the companies you work with, chances are that the top marketing people in top brass don't yet know about Bell Ringers. Please, just tell them to check out bellringersmedia.com. That's BELLRINGERSMEDIA.com. But hurry, September segments are booking now.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into hour 2 of the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
Hey, we didn't even step on anything this time. And I'm your co-host, Ben.
Yeah. Of course, we've been talking about our brand new show sponsor, Bell Ringers. And they are truly, we've had them on the show a couple of times. We're planning to have them on again soon. But, you know, things change. And when you get into the rhythm of things, sometimes when things change, you get a little, but, you know, we'll get it under.
Maybe that means that we need to change more often, not less.
This could be very true. Anyway, we had Gene Steinberg on the first hour, our Apple aficionado, Apple expert correspondent. And if you missed any portion of that, you can listen to it again at ComputerAmerica.com. We archive all of our shows at ComputerAmerica.com. And in this hour, we have a guest. Now, if we have time in the second hour, we'll bring you some computer and technology news. That's brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. But right now, I think we should go to our guest. He's in Belgium. I know it's very early in the morning. Unless you have anything else you want to mention, we should get to it. Okay?
Yeah, sure. No, I think we should jump right in it.
Okay. Well, Trefecta, according to their website, their aim is to create the game instead of changing it. I like that. By focusing on true innovation, they create the norm and set the standard for the products of tomorrow. In their opinion, the only way to truly differentiate is to start with a clean sheet. This way, they stand out from the crowd and make the impact they envisioned from the start. This vision translates itself in both their product as well as their business model. The Trefecta claims a new category of vehicles. Through advanced engineering and intelligent design, they aim to develop unsurpassed excellence. The unique interaction between design, power, and function results in a multi-purposed vehicle, ultimately providing a riding experience, freedom of any constraints, and customized to meet every need. Now, here to tell us all about the Trefecta is the company's chairman of the board, Mr. Heiko Visser. Heiko, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
Very well. Thank you very much.
And I'm sorry that it's so early in the morning. You're calling us from Belgium, but thank you for being here.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
So it should be about, 4 a.m. there?
Warm up a little bit, though.
Okay. Maybe you have a nice warm cup of that Belgian chocolate that we hear all about sometimes. You know.
If I could find someone to make me one at 4:45 in the morning.
or a Belgian waffle, even, you know.
I'm sorry. The only thing we know about other countries is stereotypes. So, you know.
Okay, so yeah, Heiko, you heard me talking about the Trefecta, sort of an introduction, which is partly from your website. Why don't you tell our listeners, because you're chairman of the board, you know this extremely well, what this vehicle is and what motivated you to design something like this?
Well, if I start at the beginning, it's actually I actually lost my driver's license for a while.
Huh. Okay.
A silly mistake, but they're very strict in Switzerland, which gave me a new perspective on mobility. And an e-bike coming quite popular in Europe in that time seemed like a viable option.
Mm-hmm.
Being a hobby engineer, if you will, I was soon really enticed by the capabilities that this new kind of class of vehicle was bringing along with it. However, I was relatively disappointed after some time using it that it seemed to be just basically someone taking a bicycle, adding on some stuff, and calling it an electric bike.
Yeah.
And to me, it seemed we were missing something. I mean, there was an awful lot of potential in these vehicles, and it wasn't being optimized. And I started thinking about that, was speaking to some people, and ultimately I developed a concept where really the kind of mesh between, as you said earlier, power, function, and design, which is our mantra, for really it's the filter we look at any new technology that would relate to this bike and say, right, does it fit any of these three categories? And if so, how can we add additional functionality to the product?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was kind of destroying me. I had a lovely car, and it was always sitting outside because there were lots of bikes, kids' bikes, mopeds, all kinds of other things in the garage that each cost money to service and use and so forth.
Uh-huh.
And I was of the opinion that a single vehicle could kind of cover the whole spectrum of capabilities that these other vehicles taking up all the space in the garage could.
Okay.
And I tried to look for the toughest kind of group of users out there, and ultimately I ended up with the military. These people have to work under extreme circumstances. They don't own the product that they use, so they tend to be a little rougher with it, more utilitarian, excuse me. And we decided to look at the kind of things that these people need, and we stumbled across a story about the Dutch military peacekeeping mission in Afghanistan. And they weren't very successfully initially. The people were quite apprehensive of soldiers showing up in a village with armored vehicles and so forth.
All right.
And the CEO of this operation, a smart guy, decided to put the guys on mountain bikes instead of armored cars with the rifles slung on their backs. A completely different image and a different approach. And it worked very well. The locals were much less apprehensive, and they were able to build the relationships and help these people rebuild their villages and the infrastructure to get them back on their feet. The only problem was, of course, send a soldier up to the top of an Afghanistan mountain with all his equipment, he's going to be pretty bushed. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that kind of motivated me to say, okay, we need to give these people an electric bike, to be able to have that kind of look and feel about riding a normal bicycle. On the other hand, giving them enough support to take all their equipment and themselves to the top of the mountain, still able to do a mission once they arrived. And these kind of elements were fed into the key criteria that define the bike. I mean, the payload capability, the off-road capability, the ability to fold it, the way that it's serviced or protected. All all those influences are strong drivers in design of this vehicle, and really set it apart from the average e-bike out there, if you will.
All right. Well, and that's a good introduction. So let me ask you to pick up from that. In other words, there are other e-bikes out there, electric bikes. What would you say differentiates the Trefecta bikes from all these others that are out there?
The main thing I would think is the fact that it's a parallel hybrid. Most other e-bikes force the rider to operate in the spectrum, RPM spectrum of the electric motor, or of the human.
Mm-hmm.
And since both have a different operating spectrum, neither one is usually in its proper RPM band where it's most efficient. And so in our vehicle, we have an electric motor that has its own gearbox, a 2-speed gearbox that we've had to develop that allows shifting under full force and torque in both directions because of regen. And you have then a human power strain where you have 14 gears, which are also switched automatically and allows you to pedal at your pedal frequency of your choice.
Now, are you always pedaling, or can you just basically start it up and just let it go under its power, or must you always pedal?
It depends on the legal definition in the different countries, but basically, yes, we can set up the bike so that the throttle would be active, like on a moped.
Okay.
Preferably, though, in Europe, we use these what we call a pedelec system, which has a sensor in the bottom bracket that measures your torque that you put into the pedals, as well as the speed at which you pedal. And this then actually becomes your throttle, and it's a very natural way of riding these bikes. The idea was to, yes, have all the technology inside, being very clever and working in the background, but it should be easy to use, like a bicycle, like an iPhone was in its day when it came on the market. It got rid of a lot of the buttons that we were used to, and basically simplified to a point where my father, who was quite advanced in age at the time, was able to use it. And that was the idea with the bike, is that, yes, all this smart stuff's in there, but you approach it, your RFID wakens it up, and you basically take it off the wall like a normal bike and start pedaling and get the support and system, suspension, so forth, working in the background to give you the best ride possible.
Okay. So this bike costs, I believe, around $25,000 for this bike, and
yes, correct.
All right, $25,000. But let me ask you, and why do you say that this bike is cheap at $25,000?
Well, the cheap is of course a relative expression.
Yes,
it's excellent value, I think, is probably the better way to describe it.
All right.
Traditionally, any product you buy, the actual material is approximately 20-25% of the final price that you as a consumer pay, meaning that the whole value chain between the manufacturer and the consumer at the other end takes quite a lot of value in getting the product to you. Being disruptive to us also meant not only trying to develop a different product that wasn't there on the market before. And that, by the way, coincides with the new laws surrounding these vehicles. This is the first vehicle that's specifically designed to this new European and worldwide standard called L1E. A and B. There's two categories within it, from a sales perspective, we try to turn that around. So instead of having 20% of the material sitting in front of you, you have 80%. So all that value that was in the chain to the consumer, we've taken those steps out. You can buy the bike online on our website, bypassing many of these traditional costly steps. And the way that the vehicle is manufactured, I mean, if you kind of start at the front wheel going backwards, there's so many innovations. We have specially developed wheels made from carbon, which can take these high loads dynamically. The front forks, for example, for the off-road version, are upside down, which is the lightest. So the wheel, the unsuspended weight is lowest, but they're usually not very stiff. So we've made oval pistons in oval tubes, which stop the stanchions from turning, giving it the stiffness of a bridge fork, but the unsuspended weight of an upside down fork. The suspension, of course, is adaptive, so it adjusts itself to the terrain. If you then move into the handlebars, normal bikes, an e-bike especially, has numerous buttons, usually by 3 or 4 different manufacturers, if not more, lots of cables to snag on things. We have our own display developed, which controls 2 fly-by-wire control units, which completely simplifies the control element of the bike. It's very clean. There's no cables visible. This required us developing our own body control module. It's the central computer of the bike. The battery pack was specifically designed for the bike with its own battery management system, controlling 144 cells individually, charging and discharging. The frame was designed by Fokker Aerospace engineers. It's a proper FEM calculated structure, an exoskeleton, where all the forces are in the outer structure, which is exactly the opposite of what a traditional bike is, which would be an endoskeleton with all the things stuck on the outside. Our own power electronics controlling the motor. Our own gearbox, which is electro-hydraulically controlled, that operates at over 40 bar, single-sided suspension front and rear. If you have the urban wheels, interchangeable front and rear, it's air suspension, cargo racks. The list gets quite long.
Yeah, I had to.
And on top of that,
I have to say that it's a beautiful.
It's all integrated with an iPhone with its own smartphone app, allowing you to control it.
I have to say,
Sorry.
I have to say, it's a beautiful looking bike. There's no question about it. It looks very,
very masculine.
Yeah, it is. It's very. It is. It's very.
I guess that comes from the military perspective, and it's the requirement for daily professional use, which obviously an ordinary bicycle is not really designed for.
Mm-hmm.
So when you buy the bike, is the bike available yet, or is it still in production?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
We are ramping up production, if you will. We're a startup, so we're learning a lot along the process. We have a little over 20 bikes delivered now, and we plan to increase production over the coming weeks to meet demand.
Now, you mentioned depending the country that you buy it in. So, in other words, first of all, will it be available in the United States?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
We have a lot of interest from the U.S.
All right.
And at present, we're actually looking into and getting a U.S. entity set up to deal with that.
So then, is it the country that decides which version, or all the versions that you make, all the bikes you make, are capable of changing over the version? I mean, some of them will allow you to pedal. someone like use like a motorcycle or
Right.
I mean, is that something that you can program into it yourself, the owner, or is that something that has to be done at the factory? What are the differences?
It's to answer your first question. Yes, all the different models will be available. It's basically in 3 categories, which would be the electric bicycle as known, which admittedly would be an awful lot of bike to be just a bicycle. There's the second category, which we in Europe call the speed pedelec, which is a faster street legal version, which would be, I think in the US you call them mopeds.
Yes.
As a category. So you would need a registration for the vehicle and need a bicycle helmet to wear. And then there's the off-road category, which is a fun vehicle for non-road use. Obviously, the most powerful version, as it has none of the constraints of the road vehicles.
I guess someone would have to go to the local DMV and find out what kind of a license one would need for that. If they need a license plate for it, you know, like a motorbike, or what kind of license one would need to. Because
it's a car license, a driver's license covers the use of the vehicle, and age is the predominant skill, if you will.
You mean
you have to
mean the older
in Europe you have to be 14 years old to ride these.
Oh, so the bike can be brand new. It doesn't have to be 14 years old. Okay.
No, absolutely, the bike would be brand new.
Okay.
Something like this, I could see it taking the place of like scooters are very, very popular around here, and this would just be displacing that whole market. Admittedly, I don't know how many college kids could afford the price tag, but I mean this thing is just so much, because let's be honest, once your scooter's out of battery, then you're sitting there kicking it and trying to get it to start again. This one you could just use as a bike. It's very, very cool technology.
Absolutely, and the nice thing is it gives you a physical exercise that's kind of in the background. It kind of and I didn't get into this business to become fitter or to actually do something for my health. This turned out to be a freebie you get on the side. These bikes, all the physics going on there. When you actually pedal, you're the most stable, balanced you can be on a bike. When you coast, you're less involved, less dynamic riding it. And somehow, everyone that's been riding the bike, even the ones that get on it saying, all right, this is just a scooter and I want the throttle and I'm just going to ride it like a scooter. Watch them after half an hour riding the bike, they'll be pedaling. Because the geometry, everything around the bike was optimized to have that human power source, the human being riding it, being central in the way it's controlled, in the way that it delivers its power. So you feel most natural when you actually pedal it. And now, the thing I've noticed, especially riding it off-road, it's a full body exercise, and you do gain health benefits. So that's kind of a nice secondary benefit.
Heiko, talk to me a little bit about what kind of speeds can this vehicle achieve? How fast can it go?
Well, again, that would be dependent on the category. The bicycle would be limited, I think, in the US to 20 some miles an hour. The speed pedelec would be, I think, to 33 miles an hour approximately. And the unlimited off-road version, we've been riding them here at nearly 95 kilometers an hour, which is nearly 60 miles an hour.
All right. Well, so the 60 mile an hour obviously is, that could take you pretty much anywhere, you would take the car. You're saying that, but the 60 mile an hour, you say it's off road. You cannot, or can you get a license to drive it on the street?
You could as a motorcycle.
Okay.
If you wished, I mean, at that performance, it would be considered a motorcycle, but that would be kind of missing the point. If the vehicle needed to drive on the highway at highway speeds, that would be detrimental to its range. It was designed to operate in that kind of urban, interurban environment where, yes, some higher speeds are desirable, but obviously the road legalities would limit that. The interesting thing is being, of course, if you're operating it like a bicycle, you can operate it anywhere. You have this kind of total freedom of moving within the city. You're kind of under the radar, if you will.
Yeah, Heiko, let me ask you this: what kind of battery life do we get with it with the single charge? But how long does it? Give us a breakdown there.
It's 100 kilometers, so it's about 60 miles at cruising speed without pedaling. If you pedal, that will improve. If you pedal more, it will improve proportionally more. It's kind of the nifty thing about the system. But we've put in a very large battery to actually give the kind of range, even if you don't pedal. That will get you through half a day. If you look at speed over time, it would take you about 3 hours to empty a battery pack, 3.5 to 4, which would get you to lunch. And in an hour with the fast charger, you would have it fully charged. 3 hours with the regular charger.
Okay, so how fast to recharge?
With the fast charger, it would be 1 hour. So you, over a period of a lunch and a break, you would have the bike actually back up to full. And the other benefit is the battery pack's interchangeable. It's like there's a lid on top of the what would have been a fuel tank in the days of petrol powered vehicles. You can open that, slide out the pack, and slide in a new one. So if you operate multiple packs, filling the vehicle between quotes would take seconds.
Okay.
And just real quick, like let's say that you have a dead battery, but you want to use it as a bike, and you pedal on it for let's say 2 or 3 hours. Would it recharge from absolute dead to some kind of energy reserves?
Good. I mean, obviously you have to compare the kind of energy sources, but the average human being is like 150 watt continuous power source, and the bike is a 4 kilowatt power source. So in that regard, it's your energy is relatively low. What makes our bike interesting is this parallel hybrid aspect. We don't expect you to give endurance to the system. We expect you to give torque, power. Because if you compare that electric motor on watt between the human, you don't look very strong. If you compare torque, on the other hand, you're equally strong or stronger than the electric motor. And it's actually the torque requirement which takes up the power of the battery. Torque in terms of battery would be amps, and drawing high amps drains your battery quickly. So if you intelligently use the support you as a human can give at moments where the amp draw would be high, for example, at accelerating away from a traffic light or climbing a steep hill, putting in the human torque then by standing and putting that power into the bike, you either really double the acceleration because the torque that would be available at the rear wheel, if you pedal maximum and the electric motor gives it maximum, would be well over 500 Newton meters, which is more than most cars would be able to generate.
What if you opt in for the little hamster in the wheel option? That would generate more power for it.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So it's the either or thing, and the nice thing is the rider always knows what he wants, so it kind of happens naturally and automatically.
No, it makes perfect sense. Any idea? So any idea when we'll see this in the U.S.?
The initial customers that have attention for the vehicle will be receiving them. I think it's about 2 weeks out. So it's initial slow start, and those are off-road vehicles where we have a less complex situation, like any other bike, off-road bike. The legalities are much simpler, if you will. For the off-road vehicle, for the on-road vehicles, we're still looking into that. There's sadly for the U.S., it's a kind of a state local DMV situation. So you literally have to look at all 52 states.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Which takes a bit of time.
No. Heiko, listen, we're out of time. I want to thank you so much for letting us know about the Trefecta. Again, you can go to our website at computeramerica.com and see it, or go to trefectamobility.com and check it out for yourself. Thanks so much for being with us here this morning, and go back to sleep, and best of luck to you with the Trefecta, okay? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity,
All right.
and it was lovely talking to you guys.
All right, you take care. Have a good evening. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
All right.
Good night.
We're coming back with computer and technology news. Stay with us.
I need a favor. You may not have anything to do with launching new products or new services at the company you work for or the companies you work with. So just in case the people there who are in charge of that aren't listening to Computer America tonight, please tell them about Bell Ringers. It starts August 31st as an hour-long Monday through Friday nationwide radio show on so many stations that more than 50 million people will be able to tune it in. 4 times each hour, a team of 3 takes the time to fully describe and explain something that's never been announced before, making it newer than news. And that same day, they send releases over 3 wires to traditional online and social media. Get full coverage on Slash Gear and more. Please just ask those marketing guys to take a look at bellringersmedia.com. That's BELLRINGERSMEDIA.com. Bellringersmedia.com. But hurry, September segments are booking now. Thanks.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? That's so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Old school? Never graduated. Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Jasco Heavy Duty Timer. When's the last time you used a timer? Maybe you have one so a lamp can make it look like somebody's at home when you're really away. But other than that, the thought really comes up. It did occur to us, though, when we reviewed a plug-in 1.5-gallon hot water heater that could fit under one faraway sink and have hot water ready there in 8 minutes from a cold start. Like most hot water tanks, the 12-amp heater inside gets automatically turned on and off by a thermostat that keeps track of the water temperature. But that got us to thinking that reheating really isn't necessary when we're away from that. We asked Jasco to send their heavy-duty timer for review. It's a 15-volt with a grounded AC outlet in its body and a short cord to plug it into the wall. A circular dial under a flip-up cap, and we should mention that it's outdoor rated, though we don't need that for our use. That circular dial lets you set it to the current time. Also let you set on and off times in 15-minute increments by sliding small sliders out or in, and a red slider selects timed or manual on and off. It's quiet. You have to hold it up to your ear to hear the geared clock motor inside. Bottom line, the Jasco heavy-duty 24-hour timer lets you set high-power things to run only when you need them to run to help your electric meter do a little less running. Marty Winston for News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. Here, 33 minutes past the hour. We just got off the line with Trefecta Mobility. They make this awesome electric, and they call it an e-bike, electric bike, that is human-powered / electric-powered. Very, very well-designed, carbon fiber, everything. Didn't even get a chance to ask them what happens when you blow a tire. I'm assuming you have to contact NASA and see if they have any in stock, and because this thing just looks and just exudes extravagance. It's really a nice bike.
You see how it folds?
Yeah, it folds up into easy storage and easy stowage and whatnot. You could ride it into the office and keep it in the corner. It wouldn't take up that much space. Very, very neat. But and then also in the first hour we had Gene Steinberg. We talked all things Apple and Apple Music. So if you missed that, go check that out as well. But we still have about another 20 minutes here, and we could use that time to do some computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities.
All right, well, let's do it, okay?
All right.
Tonight's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system for free. That's right. Everything at the slimwareutilities.com website is completely free. I mean, it's not a freemium model, or you use it for 10 days and you pay as, whatever. None of that. Or it's crippled, no. It's all free. And so download them all. That's what I say. I mean, why not? They're free. And even if you're not using them, keep them, because eventually you will need them and you'll use them, because they will truly clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system. Download them all and use them when you need them. You'll thank us for it. slimwareutilities.com.
Let's get into
first story. The first story.
First story. I call it.
Oh, you want to do the first story?
I'm doing the first story.
All right, you do the first story.
I'm doing the first story. Okay, now the first story tonight. I'm actually going to do a two-parter. There's going to be two parts. One of them is going to be from Macs and PC, and the second one is going to be from Computer World. Okay. The first one from Macs and PC, Pocket Channa. This is a simple product announcement.
Yeah.
In that Transcend introduces an 8 terabyte external hard drive.
Oh my gosh.
USB 3.0, 8 terabyte storage. Yep, and it looks kind of like, think back to an Xbox 360. It's pretty big, and it's a hefty piece of equipment, but it's 8 terabytes, people. 8 terabytes. So, again, the company's called Transcend. They just released an 8 terabyte option called the StoreJet 35T3 USB 3.0 external hard drive, which also includes the 3 and 4 terabyte model. And according to the company, it has a real-world transfer speed of 200 megabits per second with encryption built in. The whole thing is about 6 inches by 6 inches by 2 inches, so smaller than a bread box. But it has 8 terabytes of Seagate Active Archive internal hard drive. Not solid-state drive, folks. Don't get too excited. Just hard drive, but still, all of that for about they said the hard drives were about $260, but all of this, the 8 terabyte 35T3, is available with a 3-year warranty for $409.
Wow, that's
honestly, for 8 terabytes in one unit, doesn't seem like that much.
No, of course you can get, as you mentioned, you can get a 4 terabyte unit for
$209.
200. So basically, 209. So
The prices, the prices are linear. Like it's not like you're paying $600 for 8 terabytes instead of $200 for 4 terabytes.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty linear. In fact, you're saving a little bit of money by buying the larger model. Of course, I'm sure if you took this thing apart, it would be nothing more than 2 4 terabyte hard drives mushed together into one case.
I don't think so because they're talking about one platter. Doing it on a one platter. But the 3 terabyte is 159. So you can do 2 3, which gets you 6, or 2 4s, which gets you 8. But now you have it 8 and it's in one package.
Yep, 8 one package, and this thing is the largest external hard drive we've seen to date for consumers.
8 terabytes.
8 terabytes, pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
And the second story that I wanted to cover real quick was the second one from Computer World, and let's see, Lucas Marion.
Okay.
It's also about hard drives, but this one is about a solid-state drive, and this one from a company called Samsung, I believe, is their correct pronunciation. You may know them as Samsung. They make a lot of electronics and a lot of gadgets, and here they have a solid-state drive that has a 2 terabyte storage capacity in a solid-state drive.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That
You're gonna have to start saving up your pennies for this probably now because it's gonna have a hefty price tag. It's I don't want to say it's not affordable because someone out there can obviously afford these things, but for the 2 terabyte model of a solid-state drive, which is honestly huge as far as it's not even like 2 years ago we were talking about half a terabyte solid-state drives as the largest and latest and greatest, but now it's come a long way. It's coming fast. 2 terabytes for the low price of $1,000. With the lower model, which I'm sure has slower read-write speeds and all that good stuff, the 850 Evo instead of the 850 Pro. The 850 Pro is at $1,000. The 850 Evo is $800. They said that the 1 terabyte Evo solid-state drive will retail for about $400, with the half terabyte for $180, $250 for $99, and so on and so forth. So again, whereas the hard drives for 8 terabyte, you were kind of paying in a straight line. For let's say 4 terabytes was $200, so 8 terabytes was $400. This one shot up from 1 terabyte is $400 to 2 terabytes being $1,000. That is not linear. That is a slightly different bell curve, just because it's the solid-state drives are completely in demand, and especially these larger models. So people are gonna want to pay. Well, heck, they're still being developed. So
yeah,
people are more likely to pay more for them.
But it's amazing that, as I said, the prices will always continue to come down. I mean, that just.
Let's say about 3.5 years ago, when I first got my my 50 gig solid state drive, which here they sell for I think I have the cheapest model that they have, they don't even, is like 128, which is twice what mine is, and they sell that one for $100. Yeah. And back then I paid $150 to $200. So I was paying 4 cents on the gig, and these guys, and now you're paying less than $1 a gig.
Yeah, the cost per megabyte, they don't even use that anymore because
it's all gigabyte by now.
Cost per gigabyte, exactly. Well, not to drag the what's the expression, the bloody shirt across the stage, but yeah, another rumor about Windows 10. Okay, this one again from Maximum PC Kevin Parrish. He says the rumor is, as of today, Windows 10 will be finalized by this Friday. Okay. That's actually pretty good. That's the latest rumor. He said the most recent build, of course, is the technical preview 10162, which was the third release in just a week. Okay. He said it's possible that a few more builds could arrive before Microsoft stamps the Windows 10 RTM seal of approval by Friday. Now, why is this significant, if at all? Okay. He's saying first the first on the list of this will be the RTM build for OEMs, so they can load Windows 10 on their new devices. After that, Microsoft plans to release a build to retailers across the globe. Okay. They're saying that we won't see the finished build until launch day of June 29th.
Which makes sense, because if let's say June 29th is the first day that you can buy devices with Windows 10 on them, then obviously there has to be a final build where people can start, or where manufacturers can start loading this operating system onto devices, have them made, built, shipped out, and on the shelves, ready to go for that June 29th. July 29th launch date.
Yeah, June's over.
Well, the article, cough, cough, but yeah, no.
That's true. Did I ask you what happened to June? Yeah, I did.
Yes, you did. So multiple times. You can't believe it. June, it just flew right by you.
Yeah.
Didn't even say hi.
So, so anyway, this report came out today, and there
Which
were
is
some,
good, because
yeah, they had some screenshots leaked out, to kind of tease it. But according to the experts, they're saying that July 29th launch is when you and I are going to see it. Now, if you reserved your copy of Windows 10, then you'll probably get the notification that your copy is available, on your computer on the 29th of July.
Yep.
As a subnote to this article, it says Microsoft plans to make Windows 10 free for an entire year to customers on Windows 8.1. The update will roll out in waves, so reserve your spot in the launch now. So there it is. Okay. Windows 10. It's going to be here in about 2.5, 3 more weeks.
Yep. About 23 more days. So 3 weeks. And 3 weeks, 2 days.
Yeah, we'll keep you informed as this continues to happen.
We'll have a little countdown timer. We'll have the ball. We'll have we'll have a drop on July 29th. It'll be a whole ordeal. It'll be fun. Okay. So here on Computer America, we talk about the Internet of Things a lot, and one thing that we like to do whenever we mention in the Internet of Things, if you'll take a note if it happens in the future, we talk about the absurdity of the Internet of Things and how everything is being connected, and then we usually throw out examples like the connected crock pot or the connected dishwasher, refrigerator. Like we'll take something that we see as asinine and kind of say, does that really need to be connected? Well, here's another one that we're going to start adding to our list.
All right.
This one is from Popular Science. Let's pull up an author right here. Alexandra Ossola.
Oh, no. I can't believe you're going to do this. Okay.
And yeah, it's a smart mouth guard that tells your dentist if you're grinding your teeth.
Okay.
So in a world of the Internet of Things, where we have all those different devices that are now connected to the internet, we can now say for certain that mouth guards are part of the Internet of Things. And this one's actually pretty cool, because there's a condition called bruxism. Mm-hmm. It's essentially grinding your teeth in a stressful situation, or maybe even while you're asleep and you don't even realize it, you could be grinding your teeth. Mm-hmm. And stress is a problem of more than half of the working adults in the U.S., and bruxism may seem like a relatively minor problem, but solving teeth grinding is a pretty easy thing to do. The only problem is catching the people. You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. No.
It's only catching the people.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. Anyways, so catching people actually grinding their teeth is a harder task, because a lot of people don't even realize that they're doing it. They'll just wake up and their teeth hurt, or their jaw hurts, or that their muscles are sore, that kind of thing, and they can't put two and two together. So in comes this connected mouth guard, which, when worn overnight, connects to your smartphone via Bluetooth, and it stores data on your phone, and it has little sensors baked right into the mouth guard that act as accelerometers, pressure sensors, all that kind of thing, and feed the data to your smartphone. It can be stored on the cloud, and then which can be accessed by your dentist. And next time you come into, go into your dentist's office, they can look at that, they can pull up that data, and they can say, okay, here's what's going on. Because, just like a car mechanic, just like doctor visits, what is happening at that moment is only a snapshot, snapshot
Yes.
of what you're doing, or what you're doing, how you're feeling, and what's going on at that moment. You don't have continuous information. So your dentist can take this, and then they can start treating people for bruxism. They said that in the future, this technology like this will be put into mouth guards for athletes, and this will help better understand the force of collision, the way you were hit, the physics behind it, and can even pre-diagnose players with concussions. So they'll say that 90% of players who were hit hit X hard, and by Y angle received a concussion. You might want to check this player out, or keep a monitor on this player. And in the long run, it's going to help people. It's going to help people, just be healthier.
Yeah.
All by baking in Internet of Things into a mouth guard.
All right. Well, there you go. The Internet of Things now invades your mouth.
Hey, and again, very, very useful purposes. It's I never thought about putting all of these all these sensors into your mouth, and I was like, the first time I heard about it, I was like, well, that's just gonna be silly. That's there's we're gonna do measure your bite force. Why would you need to know that? But no, it has a lot of legitimate medical applications.
Now you know. Hey, we've talked in the news about people, finding Apple Ones, and they're selling for,
yeah, lucky guys.
Lucky guys, they found them. Well, guess what? The Apple One is not the only game in town, evidently, according to this article from Mirror. Evidently, there is a particular kind of Nintendo PlayStation that is ultra rare.
Yep.
And this man discovered one in his attic. And according to this, he could be really, really rich from this thing. I'm looking at it. I don't get it. But, hey, a man has discovered, according to this article, an ultra-rare console that was the result of a brief collaboration between technology rivals Sony and Nintendo in the early 1990s.
Oh, real quick, mirror.co.uk and Olivia Solon.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Now, evidently, this was never released. This SNES PlayStation. It was known as the Nintendo PlayStation. Okay, yeah, exactly. Was designed to play both Nintendo cartridges and game on compact discs. Only 200 prototypes of this were ever made. So how did this guy get it in his attic? That's my
cheap. And again, 200 of them were made, compared to the Apple One, which had 666.
Yes, exactly. And well, after the partnership broke down, Sony went on to develop its own console. We know all that, the PlayStation 1. That's all history. But the 200 prototypes were all supposed to have been destroyed. But this guy who lives in Philadelphia, or he's Philadelphia-based, evidently kept one and stored it in his attic. How did he get it, though?
Maybe he was a programmer, a hardware manufacturer.
Well, no, it says here.
People find the weirdest things.
Yeah, well, here it says he says that he acquired the machine while working as a maintenance man at a company called Advanta Corporation, alongside the former president of Sony Interactive Entertainment. As explained
Olaf Olafsson.
Yeah, yes, as explained in this story, Olafsson was responsible for building ties between Sony and Nintendo and the development of the mythical hybrid console. Okay. When Advanta went bust, Terry took the console with him and stored it in his attic, only to be discovered by his son Dan, who recognized how unusual it was a few years ago. Dan hasn't been able to turn the console on yet, as it lacks a power cord, but he plans to do so in the coming days. I don't know. Anyway, now alongside the machine is a mystery cartridge and CD, and gaming fans can't wait to find out what, if anything, is on them.
See, I don't think anything is going to be on them.
Okay. And what draws you to that conclusion?
Because this was, 200 prototypes were made. This is obviously supposed to be some kind of display or, beta console. There wouldn't be anything on it. It would just be like for display purposes only. And it's, you put in a blank cartridge and a blank CD to show how it works.
Well, if you look at the hand controller, it says it looks like a Nintendo NES controller, but it says Sony PlayStation on it.
Yep.
All right. Now, according to the story, this piece of video game history is likely to be worth a small fortune, and Dan thinks his dad may try to sell it because, as he tells Polygon, he's pretty broke. Okay, well, that's good. Given that an ultra-rare video game sold on eBay for $35,000, what was that?
Yep.
It's possible.
Right there. Nintendo Stadium events.
Okay. It's possible that the Nintendo PlayStation could go for much, much more. Well, what was the ultra rare video game that sold for $35,000? Do you know?
Right there.
What?
Nintendo Stadium events.
No. Oh, Nintendo Stadium events. Okay. All right. Okay. So they actually put up a little poll. What should Terry do with the console? Sell it and make a fortune, or donate it to a museum? I'm doubting the last one's gonna go. If his dad is broke, he's gonna sell it.
I think everyone's on the side of selling it and make a small fortune, because that's just too cool.
Yeah, it is. I'm gonna click sell it and make a fortune. Let me. Oh, they actually have to show the results here. Yeah. Sell it and make a fortune. They got 89% of the people say sell it and make a fortune. Guess how many say donate it to a museum?
Only 11%.
11%. There you go.
All right. So one more I want to get in here before the night is over. And if you remember last Friday, we did a quick story about how America challenged Japan to a giant robot duel.
I remember that. I saw that.
Well, they just put out a video yesterday night, which I guess was their Monday morning over in Japan. And guess what?
What?
Japan has agreed.
Oh my goodness.
They put out a response to the Robot Challenge duel. We're going to play it here, but it's not going to have any sound, unfortunately. But yeah, no, it's they mentioned that, for the two robots to fight was absurdly perfect. That's just what they want. But of course, giant robots are part of Japanese culture. That is totally a Japanese thing. And in typical, grandiose flair, they have agreed. Although they thought that sticking guns on robots and letting them fight was rather American. Instead, they're going for a more melee type combat, where you're going to have two robot, or at least I think they're going to go with the route of a giant ham-fisted punching robot. So the duel was. The invitation was sent to duel, and the invitation was accepted. So within a year's time, there will be a giant robot duel.
All right, well, I'm gonna tune that one in. That's gonna be fun to watch.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For sure, absolutely. I mean, come on, it's, as they say, it's part of the Japanese culture. But we have this. There's a TV show on it that's about robot battles, robot wars, or something like that. That they have.
Well, I mean, ever since let's see, RoboJocks back in 1989, there's been countless upon countless of giant robots in Japanese culture. Like, this has been the stuff of children's fantasies forever, and heck, all it took was a couple immature giant robot wielding groups of people, and now we're gonna get something very, very cool out of it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, that's our computer and technology news for tonight, brought to you by Slimware Utilities. Thank you so much for for listening. We've got a couple of things here. Tomorrow night, we have invited Nathan Evans. He is the managing editor for Pop's Era magazine. He hasn't been on our show for some time, and we're looking forward to having him.
90 seconds.
I think he was on when we had E3. Yes, that was the last time he was out for E3. So Nate's going to be joining us. Nate is just a great guy. He is. We're going to talk everything about the latest technology news and products and services, even maybe a couple of movies. I realize it's not Friday night, but he can only be with us tomorrow, so we're going to have him on tomorrow night. Nathan Evans, again, managing editor, Pop's Era magazine. Don't miss that one.
I'm sure he's going to love the giant robot battles.
Yeah, maybe he'll comment on the giant robot.
Oh, he definitely will.
Exactly. Again, don't forget ComputerAmerica.com, our website. Everything you need to know about our website is at ComputerAmerica.com. Check it out. Register at all our social media events that we have there, like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. And each one you register gives you an additional entry into our Logitech contest, where we're giving away an MX Anywhere 2 wireless mouse, brand new mouse from Logitech. About $80, and get in the entry now. Anyway, that wraps it up. Thank you so much for being with us here tonight, and Ben and I will see you tomorrow night. So until tomorrow night, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy.
10 seconds.
We'll see you tomorrow night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay. Again, thanks all for watching and here on our live streaming video. And tomorrow night, you got Nathan Evans, managing editor of Pop's Era. It's going to be a fun show. We hope to see you here too. And in the meantime, take care, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Yeah. Good night, everyone.
Good night.